We started up in the immediate aftermath of the earthquakes here. Everything got impacted, but the cultural life of the city got disproportionately impacted because the buildings that came down in the initial earthquake were the cheap, low rent, an upstairs room where a bunch of amateur dance groups had classes and social gatherings and stuff, and so we lost that. And so we started using the vacant sites where the buildings had been demolished to try to both facilitate, kind of recapture some of that cultural life, and then also kind of bring it out into public a bit more, where actually more people encounter it. And we've grown from that into the word that governments and such like to use is placemaking. So we usually call ourselves a placemaking agency now. So we create events and installations and feed into city master plan processes and things like that to try to get more people to participate, a bit more community mindedness. I feel like a lot of emphasis in cities goes on the kind of commercial side of things, developers and businesses and so on, and obviously that's really important, but I think our role's been to try to diversify that a lot and provide little offerings or glimpses where a wider range of people might see something in the city and go, oh yeah, that kind of encapsulates my values or represents me in some way. It was therapy for those of us who started Gap Filler in the early days to, how can we leave our stamp and kind of show people what we think the city should be like? And then kind of through that, we've been told that, hey, have you heard of the 5 ways to well-being and these sorts of things about feeling connected to the place where you live and, growing important relationships with people because you have some values in common or you're sharing a common mission or whatever it might be. And so I'd say we've come to thinking more deliberately about well-being kind of from being taught, but we came in through the back door or something.
Rekindle was founded by Juliette Arnott, and she is an occupational therapist. So it's based on the occupational therapy values of the idea that what we do changes the way we feel. Craft is an inherently transformative process, both internally and externally. Externally speaking, we can take a material such as the tikoka leaf, comes from a cabbage tree, and weave it together, transform it into something really useful, like this basket here. But also internally there's a transformation that occurs. The process of working with our hands and the materials demonstrates and is evidence to us that we have strength and we have focus and we have capability. So it builds on our sense of self-efficacy and builds our esteem in that regard as well. Being in the process of craft connects us. It's a space that we can be in where we can be focused and present and in the moment, which is a really important thing in today's modern world where we're balancing multitasking or working off screens or other sort of less active occupations. So to have that counterbalance is really great for our well-being. Working together as a group in a class is really great for people to feel connected socially. We all have a shared purpose or a shared goal when we're trying to make something or learning how to make something. Well, there's also the sense of well-being that arises in the act of caring for what's around oneself, so caring for the environment. So we work with materials that might otherwise go to waste. And I guess people might come along wanting to learn a craft but then learn more about or realise that they're also working towards sustainability for the environment as well.
The taiaha is an ancient Māori weapon, a traditional martial art that our people once used in warfare. And the purpose of training in this art form nowadays is about bringing all of the pride of the culture from the warrior days into the present time, using the taiaha as a vehicle for promoting the survival of the Māori language, for promoting physical fitness, spiritual and mental wellness, for bringing people together and using something that had warrior values to it and finding a new way to be warriors in the common day. What it basically means to stand strong in this world and to find ways to express ourselves and to celebrate who we are. Now, there are very few things that we need in life. We need connection, we need purpose, and we can come together over a simple activity to help people celebrate who they are, and within our city to help people build relationships. We know relationships are such a key to building healthy communities. I think everyone wants to belong somewhere. We all need places where we belong and where we feel safe and where we can be part of a wider whānau, a wider community network without too many expectations on us other than to just turn up and find a space where we can be a part of a group, part of a family, and that's good enough. That you're good enough as you are, the way that you arrive.
So we're a creative community for people who've experienced mental distress in Christchurch. The experience in Christchurch of the earthquakes is the catalyst for Ōtautahi Creative Spaces setting up, but really the need was there long before the earthquakes, and it's about having places to go where you can explore and express who you are and create the world and the life you want for yourself, and creativity is one really powerful way of doing that.
Should we try and pull it out together?
We have a collective of around 80 artists who come together around what they love. So there's all sorts of art forms being created. So this weekend we've got a quilt workshop happening, but people work in print, making, sculpture, painting, you name it. Being absorbed in a creative process takes us out of ourselves. We can actually put aside the worries and the stresses of life and become absorbed and be in the zone. In our busy lives, that's a really important thing for people to be able to do. Art and creativity is a really powerful tool for transformation. So for the artists who are part of this collective, we see amazing changes. When people first come in, they've often experienced disadvantage and exclusion, but by being part of this creative community, they're able to make incredible changes in their life. So whether it's exhibiting, selling their work, teaching others, finding work, going on to other study, and really seeing changes in their families as well, because people are seen as having strengths and talent, and so we see the artists here as being champions of creative wellbeing in their families and the wider community. We want to see a rethink of the mental health system, so we want to see art and creativity as being front and centre, rather than the emphasis that goes on medication and on clinical treatment. We think there's a really important role for creativity in helping people create aspirations and have hopes for their future, which they are more in control of and which enable people to really thrive.